Hello to all comrades who participated in the Cambodian battlefield. Today, the owner of Lin Chien channel came to my house and asked me to tell the story of my soldier life at Muk location. He wanted to record a video, record the story, but honestly, I felt a bit shy and difficult to tell. Anyway, I hope my comrades understand. My name is Nguyen Van Cam. I enlisted in April 1978. My unit was C3D9E10F339. When I received the notice to go for military service examination, I had just turned 18 years old. After the medical examination and passing the entrance exam, the commune cadres took us to the unit. I was from New Ton District, Ton Hoa Province, and the new recruit training unit of the 442nd Division was about 20 kilometers from my house. At that time, transportation was not as convenient as it is now. My commune was in a mountainous area, the roads were difficult, and transportation was limited. We had to find our own way to get to the training place. When we joined the army, there were more than 10 comrades in my commune who went together. But sadly, only 6 of them returned. Some of them sacrificed their lives, others died of illness. Now, only a few of them are still able to meet each other. Today, the channel owner came to my house to learn about my military life, so I would like to tell the whole story. When it comes to the Cambodian battlefield, I have hundreds of memories, from big to small battles. Really, I feel lucky to have survived and returned to this day. Even so, my body still bears many wounds, has been injured many times, but fate still gives me the chance to live. I will tell my story in order, so that my comrades and friends can hear more clearly about the 6 years in the Cambodian battlefield. I enlisted in April 1978, and it was not until the end of 1984 that I was discharged. During that time, my brothers and I went through countless difficulties and hardships, but our comradeship and strong will helped us overcome everything. When I arrived at the unit, I thought that in the army, there should be complete and neat houses. But when we marched there, we saw only temporary tarpaulin covers, not even a complete house. At that time, the 442nd Division had just been established and was still very poor. Our new recruit training unit was located in Tuong Son Commune, Nong Song District, Ton Hoa Province, and during the 3 months of training there, we experienced many difficulties. To tell you the truth, at that time, the whole country's economy was in dire straits, especially in the north. In a week, at best, we could eat rice 1 or 2 times, the rest of the time we mainly ate wheat. It sounds unbelievable, but in reality, what we ate was what we got out, there was no nutrition at all. At that time, nearly half of my unit had to stay home to train new recruits, the rest took turns going to the forest. Up there, we chopped wood, cut it, then brought wood back to build camps, improve the temporary living space. Everything was done by hand, without any modern means of support. At that time, to build the unit, we had to go into the forest to cut down trees, then fight back to build houses. Although it was called 3-month training for new recruits, the actual training time was only about a month, the rest was mainly cutting wood, building houses, and building the unit from scratch. After 3 months, our unit finally had a pretty grand and beautiful barracks. The houses were built from tree trunks, simple but enough to provide shade from the sun and rain. During that time, we were given leave once a week. People from the same commune would walk home together. There were no vehicles, so we walked dozens of kilometers. The house was far away, but when we got home, we were very happy to see our mother or siblings preparing sticky rice, sometimes even a chicken. Sticky rice was extremely precious in those days, strangely delicious, because on normal days, meals were just wheat and cassava, nothing delicious. I was given 10 days leave, but in reality I could only stay home for 7 days, and the remaining 3 days were spent marching back to the unit. Going back and then walking back to the unit, it was tiring but I got used to it. When I got back to the unit, I had 3 days off, no training, just light work like cleaning the barracks and tidying up. Then suddenly, there was an order to march to the south. We were still young at that time, not knowing how fierce the war would be. We just thought simply of joining the army, following orders, going wherever we wanted, without worrying too much. But from here, my soldier life entered a new phase, a fierce and dangerous turning point. We marched to Kung Junction, Tin Gia District, Thanh Hoa Province. Here, the Hong Ha convoy of the military department was waiting. It was raining, the units were assigned to the vehicles, each vehicle carried about 15 to 20 people, enough for a platoon. I still clearly remember my vehicle with the number 05, that image is deeply imprinted in my mind. From Tin Gia, the convoy took us through Nayan, stopped to cook, eat, rest a bit, then continued on the vehicle to march to the south. On the way, people on both sides of the road waved goodbye, the scene was bustling, the feeling at that time was really magnificent. I was both excited and felt like I had become an important person, because at that time I was only 18 years old, my mind was still very naive, I didn't understand anything about war, about the upcoming fierceness. Even though I have experienced the war against America, heard the sound of bombs and bullets, and seen the destruction, my mind is still not capable of fully imagining the ferocity of the battlefield. The army arrived in Da Nang and rested for a day there. After that, we continued marching by motor vehicle, entering Long Bin, passing through Bien Hoa. In Bien Hoa, we rested for 2 days, then continued to get on the vehicle and marched south. There is one memory that I will always remember, that is when we crossed the Chao Doc River. Honestly, until now I still can't remember clearly whether it was really the Chao Doc River or not, I only remember the feeling of excitement when crossing the river, the water was flowing fast, the sky was dark, the army moved silently in the night. When we crossed the Chao Doc River, it was late afternoon, dusk had fallen, the sun was gradually setting behind the trees. When we reached the other side, we were assigned weapons, each person was given an AK, a tank, a bag of claymore mines, and 3 magazines. The guns were not new, probably had been used by many old comrades. We rested temporarily in the huts built by previous units. The huts were low and rudimentary, but in the middle of the wild mountains and forests, having a place to rest was already considered very lucky. The next morning, we started to reorganize the team. I still remember there was Mr. Nam, who was from Hanam Ninh, now Ninh Binh, and another guy whose name I have forgotten. The 3 of us were assigned to a platoon, sharing together the difficult days on the battlefield. When we entered the base area, we saw a scene of devastation. The houses of the people were burned down, leaving only the bare frames. The tops of the coconut trees and the palm trees were all broken and scorched by the artillery shells. The land and sky were covered with water, everywhere we could see only flood water. The shelters of the people were lower than the water level, they had to build banks, huddled in flooded bunkers. When entering the outpost to rest, the 3 brothers discovered that the floor of the hut was water, and above was a wooden plank to lie on. At night, we could clearly hear the sound of gunshots, the sound of artillery shells, the sound of a war that never stopped. Fear mixed with fatigue, but everyone tried to stay calm, because we understood that we had entered a real battle, where life and death were just a hair's breadth apart. At night, the sound of artillery fire resounded, the ground shook. From under the roof of the bunker, my brothers and I still tried to peek out, clearly seeing the sparks from the artillery shells tearing the night sky. Everyone was scared, but perhaps the most scared was Phong, he was the platoon leader, he also sacrificed later. Phong kept climbing up to the roof of the bunker to look, despite our attempts to stop him. Honestly speaking, in moments like that, if the artillery was close enough, we would have jumped into the water immediately. Every night, lying in the bunker listening to the sound of rats scurrying, everyone was scared and did not dare to move. At that time, we heard that our 320th Division was fighting at the border, but we, the new recruits, were still very inexperienced. Before entering the battlefield, we were only trained to fire 3 bullets.